Every single day, it feels like we're just bombarded. There's an overwhelming amount of information coming at us, news, social media, even just our own thoughts buzzing around.
It really is like trying to drink from a fire hose, you know?
Exactly. You end up more drenched than actually hydrated, probably still thirsty for something real, something meaningful. So the big question becomes, how do we know what's actually true? Or what's valuable? What's even relevant to us? We need some kind of filter.
A way to discern the signal from all that noise.
Precisely. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're taking a deep dive into separation, this really essential concept from alchemical and Masonic traditions.
Waking up right where we left off.
Right. Our mission here is to explore this idea, pull out the crucial bits for your understanding of discernment. We want to see how these traditions offer a kind of blueprint.
Yeah, and not just for, like, chemistry experiments.
No, not at all. But for discerning the pure from the impure, the valuable from the worthless, the true from the false, inside ourselves and in that huge ocean of information out there.
It's a powerful concept.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So building on that, if you remember our last deep dive on dissolution, that was all about immersion, breaking things down, sometimes kind of chaotic, right?
Definitely felt that way. Emotional, maybe confusing.
Exactly. Now, separation is the critical next step. We shift from that receptive, maybe overwhelming state to active discernment. It needs clarity, precision.
So move from just feeling things to actively sorting them.
Precisely. From feeling to focused action.
Okay, so the word separation, I mean, my first thought is chemistry, filtering coffee, something like that.
That's the common understanding, sure.
But in alchemy, I get the feeling it runs much, much deeper. How do they take it beyond just a lab process? Why is that important?
That's a great question. And you're right, it's way more than a literal sieve. In the alchemist lab, practically speaking, separatio is about extracting components from a liquid mixture.
Like filtration or decantation, you mean?
Exactly. Methods like that. The goal is always to isolate what's useful, what's maybe even sacred, and discard what's no longer needed.
Okay.
Think of it like panning for gold. You gently sift away the sand and gravel. You're not trying to destroy the sand, but you want to find the valuable metal within.
Right, makes sense.
It's not about burning something down like calcination, that intense fire purification. And it's not just immersion like we saw in dissolution. It's really about clarification.
Clarification, bringing purity out of the mix, making things clear.
Precisely. And esoterically, that clarity becomes the awakening of spiritual discernment.
Okay. So after the ego gets humbled a bit in dissolution, and maybe you access some unconscious stuff.
Right. Then the real work starts. Learning to tell the difference between, say, genuine inner guidance and those echoes of illusion, or maybe psychological baggage you haven't integrated yet. Carl Jung talked about this. He called it developing the discriminating function.
The discriminating function.
Yeah, the ability to recognize symbolic truths, to sift through your thoughts, your dreams, and really distinguish the deeper self from the superficial persona, that mask we wear for the world.
Knowing the difference between just a whim and real inner wisdom.
Exactly. It's a subtle but crucial art.
That makes so much sense. And it ties right into that Hermetic principle. Solve, et coagula, dissolve, and recombine.
It does, perfectly.
But isn't there a potential pitfall here? After you break everything down in dissolution, how do you stop separation from just becoming, I don't know, overly critical or nihilistic, throwing out things that might still have value?
That's a really insightful point. It highlights how delicate this stage is. The alchemist isn't just chucking things out randomly. They're carefully discerning what belongs to a higher nature and what doesn't. What's essential for the next step, the recombination.
So it's targeted.
Very targeted. It's not destruction. It's discerning purity with a goal in mind. You need that precision so you don't discard too much. You're clarifying what belongs to that higher nature, what's needed later.
It makes me think about our own internal liquid mixture. You know, our thoughts, beliefs we've held forever. Just the sheer amount of stuff we experience daily. How do we even start sifting through that consciously? Finding what's essential instead of just getting swept along. It feels like it needs to be a constant practice.
It really does. A daily act of discernment.
These alchemical ideas are powerful. And it's fascinating how we find similar echoes in Freemasonry. The Fellowcraft's journey, for instance. How did that start to mirror this idea of separation?
Beautifully, actually. The Fellowcraft degree in Masonry is often symbolically linked right to this concept.
So it's more than just climbing those winding stairs in the lodge.
Oh, much more. It's fundamentally an intellectual and moral journey. It's about actively learning to use reason, judgment, intellectual tools to evaluate reality, to build your inner temple. The symbolism is incredibly rich.
You mentioned tools, like the 7 liberal arts and sciences.
Exactly. Grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, astronomy. In the second degree, they aren't just presented as academic subjects to memorize.
Well?
No, they're deeply symbolic. They represent the initiate's need to refine their perception, analyze information critically, and crucially, separate the eternal from the temporary, the truly valuable from the fleeting.
Tools for intellectual and spiritual refinement.
That's the key.
Could you give us an example? Like, take logic. How does that become a tool for this kind of separation in a way we might not immediately think of?
Sure, logic isn't just about winning debates, right? It's about dissecting the subtle ways our thinking can be misled. Like, think about the argument from tradition. We've always done it this way. Logic lets you surgically separate the validity of the idea itself from its comfortable but maybe baseless history.
Ah, I see. Cutting away the assumption.
Exactly. That's a huge act of intellectual liberation. It trains the Mason or anyone using it to spot fallacies, to separate truth from mere appearances.
And what about geometry? It's called the noblest of sciences in the ritual. That sounds like more than just angles and lines.
Definitely. It represents the ordered structuring of knowledge. It teaches you to perceive pattern, harmony, proportion. It's like a spiritual geometry of the soul.
Spiritual geometry. I like that. Helping you see the design under the chaos.
That's it. Albert Pike, the Masonic scholar, really drove this home. He said the true purpose of these arts in Masonry is to guide the intellect in distinguishing error from truth, and to prepare the soul to know and reverence the sacred architecture of the universe. It's about equipping the mind to see that underlying order.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it? Realizing these old traditions were building minds, not just buildings.
It really is. Makes you think about what we consider basic education now. So for you, the listener, how are you applying these tools? Are you dissecting info with logic? Discerning patterns? Or just taking it all in passively?
Good question. And this journey, it goes deeper in Masonry, doesn't it, into the middle chamber?
It does.
It's not just a symbolic payday, right? It feels more like an inner sanctum of discernment.
That's a perfect description. In the middle chamber, the Mason symbolically gets nourishment, spiritual instruction, leading to the gift of discrimination.
The gift of discrimination.
Yeah, it's described as a place where the ear of the heart begins to hear the deeper tones of the symbolic world. You start moving past the surface level.
Perceiving the real meaning. Your intuition gets clearer.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is the parallel you can draw to Eastern mysticism. This space often correlates with the Ajna chakra, the third eye, the seat of inner sight, intuition.
Fascinating. But, and this seems important, how is this different from dissolution? Because dissolution also involved symbols and feelings.
Crucial difference. Dissolution was about immersion, maybe even being overwhelmed by feeling and symbol. Separation requires testing and filtering those impressions.
Active evaluation.
Right. It's not just having the experience, it's evaluating it against some internal standard of truth, actively engaging with it.
And this evaluation leads to some pretty tough self-examination, I imagine.
Definitely. The Freemason is prompted to ask things like, what in me is noble and what is base? What parts of my thoughts, my emotions, my beliefs belong to the rough ashlar, that unworked stone, and what belongs to the perfect ashlar, the stone ready for the temple?
Sorting the raw potential from the finished product within yourself.
Exactly. And also, what parts of tradition are eternal truth? And what are just forms that maybe need to be discarded eventually? Those are big questions. Questions of self-mastery.
They really are. So for you listening, when do you actually take time to test and filter your own inner impressions? Those gut feelings, those insights. Do you give them that kind of rigorous look? And to help with this active evaluation, these traditions use powerful symbols, like the sword of discernment. That's such a strong image.
It is, isn't it? A tool for cutting away illusion, slicing through the noise to get to the core truth, and it pops up everywhere.
Like where?
Well, in tarot, the suit of swords is all about the intellect, judgment, the challenges of discrimination, mental clarity, cutting through confusion.
Okay.
In Kabbalah, you have the Sephara Gevura. It's associated with Mars, judgment, rigor. It oversees that necessary cutting and ordering, a discipline kind of power.
Discipline seems key here.
It is. And even in Freemasonry, the Tyler sword, the one guarding the door, isn't just about keeping people out.
No.
It can be seen as a symbol that truth needs protecting, defending, and that the Mason must be vigilant in separating what's truly of light, real wisdom, virtue, from things that just pretend to be light.
Guarding against illusions, inside and out.
Exactly, both external and internal deceptions.
That's a powerful take. And we see this in Rosicrucian writings too, right? Like the chemical wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz.
Yes. The candidate faces multiple doors, remember, each with different symbols, different promises. Only one leads to the true path.
And the others.
Delusion. Maybe even death, symbolically. The message is clear. Discernment is the gatekeeper of wisdom, as Mackintosh puts it. You have to choose carefully, meticulously.
Wow. So that brings up a question for you listening. When you face conflicting information or choices, what are your mental swords or scales? How do you evaluate? How do you separate noise from your inner truth? So bringing this all together, what does it mean practically for our inner lives?
Is separation a kind of therapy? An inner alchemy?
You could definitely see it that way. In Jungian analysis, for example, it directly mirrors the careful sorting of conscious and unconscious stuff.
Like dreams, fantasies.
Exactly. Dreams, fantasies, projections, those complexes we all have, they all need to be looked at, understood, evaluated.
And the goal, as Marie-Louise von Franz, a Jungian analyst, put it, is to reclaim the gold. Think of those as the divine sparks within us, our true potential.
Okay.
And you have to meticulously separate that gold from, say, inherited beliefs or unconscious defense mechanisms that might be holding you back without you realizing it. It's about conscious integration.
Making the unconscious conscious and sorting it out.
Right. Now, Freemasonry isn't clinical therapy, obviously, but it prompts similar deep introspection. Those questions they ask the initiate.
Like, what are your intentions?
Yes, or are you prepared to divest yourself of the superfluous? Are you seeking light for the right reasons? These aren't just rhetorical flourishes.
No, they make you really weigh things.
They force you to weigh your motivations, your loyalties, your beliefs against the standards of Masonic ethics and its deeper purpose. It's like an internal calibration.
And this brings up something important, a warning that seems to run through these traditions. The danger of any practice becoming just rote.
Oh, absolutely. Just memorizing things, repeating them, showing up for social gatherings without real engagement.
Separation in that context is about telling the difference between the outward form and the inner meaning. Right?
Exactly. Ritual is a vessel, but without spirit, it's just an empty shell. The Mason who's truly engaging in separation asks, am I living this ritual or just reciting it? Am I really present or just going through the motions?
A vital question for any path.
It really is. Alchemical stories often warn about this. They talk about careless or impatient alchemists who rush the process.
Or what happens?
Spiritual disaster or creating fool's gold. It underlines that real light, true understanding, has to be carefully discerned, earned, and preserved. You can't just imitate it or adopt it mindlessly. It requires that inner work.
It's about the quality of engagement, not just showing up.
That's it.
And this connects to another fascinating Masonic idea, moral geometry. That phrase pops up in early catechisms.
It does. It's a beautiful concept.
Like a builder separating good stones from rubble, the Mason has to discern the ethical structure of their own life, their character's foundation.
Perfectly put. And this moral architecture is literally symbolized by the tools, the square, the compasses, the 24-inch gauge, the plumb line.
They're not just symbols.
Well, they are symbols, but they represent a very practical process, how you separate reality into what aligns with virtue and what deviates from it.
So being on the level, on the square, upright.
It's not just talk. It's the foundation of building that temple of the soul. The spiritual builder has to make constant judgments, constant separations. Guided not by ego or what others think, but by an inner compass of light.
So as you go through your day, maybe reflect on the judgments you're making about your own moral architecture. Are you building with precision, with integrity? Are you discerning what truly aligns with your highest self?
Because ultimately, separation is fundamentally a moment of choice. It really is. It demands you stop being passive, stop just being carried along by the waves of change from dissolution.
You have to become an active agent of discernment.
Yes, you have to consciously separate your path from others, your deeply felt truth from just inherited convention, your real essence from the social mask you might wear. It's where your personal sovereignty starts to solidify.
And it feels like it's right here, in this conscious act of separation, that a genuine spiritual identity starts taking shape.
I think so. One not based on titles or what other people think, but on inner clarity, ethical alignment.
The true Fellowcraft, or maybe just the true learner on any path, is the one who can consistently separate appearance from substance, gold from dross, self from soul.
Well said. And as we look ahead, having done this work of separation, having purified these elements, we get ready for the next stage, conjunction.
Bringing things back together.
Exactly. Fusing those purified elements, the ones we discovered through separation, into a new sacred union, creating something integrated, whole, and powerful.
Okay, so we've honored the sword, the scale, the sacred filter, all these tools that teach us to value only what is real. The question left for you is, what are you choosing to value? And what will you actively discern as truly essential in your own deep dive into life, into information, and into your inner self?